So Jerry is a car insurance marketplace. So they're redefining how people get car insurance and manage their car. It's a one-stop shop, very app-based. It handles all the paperwork. There's no handoff from insurance company to bank. There's no need to talk to a human unless you want to. And they're saving the customers on average $800 a year on car insurance. They are growing quickly. They have 4 million customers. I think that's up from like 100,000 5 years ago. Because they're so focused on a digital interaction with the customer, they're growing quickly. They have most of their interactions are through SMS and their chat through their app. And they have 200,000 messages a month. Every day. Message about is my car insurance? How much does it cost? What do I do here? What do I do there? And today, before they started the ChatGPT chatbot, it took 3 minutes on average to respond to an issue, and they had 30 physical human customer service agents. So the problem was, even with a staff of 30, they found it difficult to respond even within a few hours to many of the inquiries. They put together a small team back in, I think, March or April they started to, and they had good results. So they found that the chatbot enables immediate response for every customer. It scaled easily. And the other big benefit they found was it really was a net positive for the agents. It's their growing company. No one was really worried about agents losing their job, but this is a way for them to get away from some of the drudgery, common questions, and get more to the higher value add questions. The financial results are just spectacular, and I use that word purposely. They launched in May. In April, these were some of their stats. Only 54% of the inbound messages, texts, or through the app were responded to within 24 hours. 54%. 1.5, sorry for the typo, 1.5 messages were responded within 30 seconds. And every single one that came in got escalated to a human agent. After they rolled out their chatbot, 100% of inbound messages were now responded to within 24 hours. 96% of them were responded to within the chat box, with only 11% escalated to the human agents. And a huge ROI. They had a 400% ROI, and from the investment, they estimate at least a $4 million a year savings on this small project. And you'll see their staffing here in a few slides. And they believe there's a real impact on sales. They can't actually quantify it, but they know they've seen the conversion rates go up, and they know people having a much better experience on answering. Now, a lot of these routine questions: where's my application? What's the price? But the important thing here is moving calls away from the human-to-human interaction to the human-to-machine. How does it work at a high level? The messages come in either from the Kelly or the Jerry app or SMS. John Spottywood, who is our COO, shared how before each reply, they use a large language model to determine if the chat bot should even reply. So if the customer is already engaged with another agent on a previous interaction, they don't send it to the chat bot. If they're not interacting with it, they send it to the chat box. Let's see here. They have different agents, so pretty sophisticated. Depending on the type of question, they'll route it to a different agent and a different knowledge pool. The customer response has been great. Very natural response. They have not. John said less than 5 times they could find someone with a customer saying, "Are you a bot?" or "How do I speak to a human?" So they found that the interaction was very natural and wasn't chunky or non-professional or not quick. One of the things they're doing a lot of is running different experiments, testing different types of prompts, doing a lot of prompt level testing and also system level testing, doing control and test. So I think they were on version 75 or 74 when he spoke. And then John shared kind of 5 key lessons they had for this. One, really get good at prompt engineering. Iterate quickly and over communicate, especially to the support and operations team. They had a whole set of cross-function communications and buy-in and tools including a dedicated Slack and Asana forums. They had a pretty detailed release note with each update. This is a release note going to the support and operations team. Version control was critical. Took them a while, and they started with a pretty small team. When they started back in March, it was 2 engineers, a junior PM, and just a little bit of the CTO's time to start the team. That's since grown, but it's only maybe, I think they added a senior PM, 2 more prompt engineers, and I think maybe a QA person. He said, really, you could do so much with this, so really only add resources after you start seeing results. And where are they going next? They're adding more different types of agents that are carrier and state specific. They're testing new large language models. They use 3.5 from OpenAI in initial assessment and 4 on the actual query. They've been testing Claude 2, and they haven't gotten comfortable yet with the performance. They've also done some testing with Meta's product, Llama, proving a lot more, investing a lot more data collection. They want to test voice chat later this year. And data reporting, 2 things they're really focused on is categorization. So we'll be able to generate reports by which particular agent, and by sentiment, which I thought was interesting, and improving ways to actually get customer feedback in the process. So that was the others who were at the conference, Rosemary or John or others. Any other notable things you remember from John's presentation?
Boy, I was really impressed at the depth of what they've been able to do in a short time. The fact that they went from 100% going to agents to like this low percentage was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Talk about job reduction.
Yeah.
Yeah. In addition, I thought there were 2, I agree with that, Rosemary, and there were 2 others that I thought were amazing. And Paul, I don't know if you mentioned the number of iterations, the 70 plus iterations of the model. Yep. So a lot of people talk about, agile design and, rapid prototyping. They have figured a way, much like the Toyota production system does for Toyota, to really engineer and constantly improving quality. The second thing I thought was interesting is I asked John, who are the staff that you use for this? And he said, it's really interesting. Once you get the model established, unless you're going to do some significant change to the model, what they're doing is that they're teaching the engineers and the salespeople how to interact with the model and update it. So I think that that's really important, because I believe it allows a lot more scalability, because you don't need to have, a machine learning or AI expert every time you touch the thing.
Other thoughts or comments? Well, good. We fortunately,
it was my favorite presentation at Gen AI World, because it had, the most measured results of any of the presentations. So I really thought it was great.
Now, part of it, I think they're located in the Valley. They're already a software company in their product here, so they had a predisposition to do that. But even then, it was pretty quick. Lucinda and others. Sorry, Rosemary, you got a comment?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, I came away from that one and the healthcare one from Brazil thinking, my God, companies are so far down the road on this. Some companies are so far down the road compared to others that we talk to.
Yeah, it's really, and I think the other thing that I really reinforced to me is that the power that small teams can make with huge ROI. So there's a small team getting a $4 million cost savings. We've already seen Midjourney with 11 or 15 employees do $110 million in revenue. One of the companies, I don't want to use a name, but that's raised over $100 million to build large language models, only has 20 people in their dev AI team, and they don't expect that to grow that much. So Lucinda, it's pretty amazing. You get the right combination of people and these things lining up, and boy, it can really scale quickly and really drive a lot of value, even in single modal operations, much less multimodal is coming.
Yes, I was really floored by the speed and the effectiveness and the ROI of this project. It was just amazing. I'd actually really love to know more details about how it was implemented. I mean, I get the big picture of what he was talking about, but just in terms of like just understanding what it is. But I know I probably will not get the opportunity to do that. But yes, I was just really amazed by the effectiveness of what John and the team at Jerry did.
Paul, I was wondering about, this is Liz, I was wondering about their data when they started. Were they worried about the same things that a lot of other companies are about sharing their data on a large language model, their customer data, or did they build that privacy in right away, or did they have any security issues?
That's a good question. I actually don't remember if they went
Mm.
through Azure or not. Does anyone know? Yeah,
Paul, most
Probably
likely it
not,
was
'cause I
public
forgot.
data already, right?
What's it?
Most likely it was just public data already, I would guess.
Well, but I would assume at least some of the queries are saying, my car insurance is 1,800 a year, get it down, or why is it so high? But maybe not.
Okay. In that case, that might be PII account.
Yeah, I mean, or I need to update my credit card information for the annual fee. I don't know, it's a good question, Liz. I can't remember, whoever organized that conference just had such short topics for everyone. There wasn't a lot of time to go deep. Well, great. Well, let's, anyway, so I'll put that on radar screen. We're looking for more case studies and more things to share. We continue to get really, really good feedback on the need for case studies and also quantifying it. So one of the things we're seeing again and again is, boy, if companies got 30 or 40 or 20 ideas, they think they might have a good ROI. What are other people actually getting? And certainly in general, a lot around the customer support, increasingly certainly some marketing, a little bit HR, not seeing a lot in supply chain. Alden, what areas are you seeing most out there? And then we'll go to open mic in terms of
Yeah,
functional areas.
for us, if number one is customer support, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't have published case studies, but I have very similar case studies to Jerry. And people are using the public data that is already on the help desk to build a chatbot very easily, and then have employees use them first.
Yeah.
And then once the employees use them and get comfortable with them, then they put it up on the website and use it as a first level filtration, right? And if you want more data and more numbers, we are our best customer as well. When we started, we used to get 300 tickets a day, which was extremely painful for me because I was my customer support. And now the bot has not only taken over a lot of the customer support because the bot is a lot more intelligent than me, but the bot is now starting to make an effect in other aspects of the business, like lead generation and sales. So that's the big difference between last year's bots and this year's bots. These bots are a lot more intelligent. They can assess sentiment, they can upsell. The sort of things that the bots can do is now starting to affect other parts of the business.
Before we go to
All right, could I just ask Alden a follow-up question?
Uh-huh.
So Alden, on that, could you describe the progression from, okay, I'm answering tickets and questions, to then, are you then going back and selling into those folks? Or you're taking that knowledge for taking a lead through the funnel, just kind of tactically.
Tactically what we did is, so about 5 months ago, it used to be just a dumb Q&A bot, right? What pricing do you have, or how do I upload document, things like that. That worked out good. It reduced the number of tickets a lot. All the silly questions and drudgery that Paul had mentioned, that got handled by the bot. About a month or so ago, we realized that in generative AI, you can detect sentiment in a conversation and then have the bot suggest things that the person should use. So what we started doing is turning the bot from Q&A to an engagement bot, like starting to show empathy and also starting to suggest things that the user can do. So something like, looks like, would you be interested in a call with our customer support? Or would you be interested in a calls with our sale, right? When you detect that the user is happy or frustrated, and that becomes make the phone ring. And every time the phone rings, good stuff happens.
That's great. Yeah, go ahead, Lucinda, then we'll go to Alex.
Yeah, so definitely I hear a lot about customer support things. Another kind of big category is what is called knowledge base. And that can be anything from, and a lot of these are used internally, as Alden was talking about, because that's a little bit scary, like, putting these things out into the wild, and and because they're not deterministic, you don't know what they're going to do. But with your own employees, yeah, that's totally fair game, and a good way to kind of develop those organizational muscles that you were talking about. So in terms of knowledge-based things, a couple of ideas. I think I talked to you before about the FDA drug guidelines, et cetera. I'm actually working on another little project right now about using medical coding for, like, in other words, what's the cost code of these various things? So that's sort of knowledge base, especially where things are really complicated and change frequently. So that's been an effective thing. And then I was talking to a guy from Data Robot, and he said that one of the first things they did was they created like an RFP bot, which is that, you have all these RFP questions that are just boilerplate. They might be asked slightly differently, but you still got to go comb through the documentation, et cetera, et cetera. And they found that was, I don't think it's something that does the whole thing automatically, but it's, again, in kind of co-pilot mode, where you have human review of what it is that it's finding, but it gets you like a great 70%, 80% of the way there first draft. So those are just some knowledge base type of applications that I've seen.
Before we go to Alex, Lucinda and Alden, would you also agree that coding is right up there with customer support?
Yes, but that market has seemed to be taken up by ChatGPT and GitHub, basically.
GitHub.
Yeah. So, the rest of the people, I don't think people are doing too much with that.
Yeah.
But Lucinda is completely right. I signed 3 banks and 2 government agencies today for this knowledge base case, where people are uploading the documents and they just want their internal HR people, or in the case today, it was some compliance officers who just wanted to upload their documents and do stuff with it.
That's great.
Can
ahead,
you
Alex.
guys elaborate on that just a little bit more, like how you're doing it? Is that possible? Sorry.
Yeah, go.
Yeah.
Alex, thanks for
So-
being careful. Go ahead. Alden, why don't you show what you're doing, and Lucinda, we'll go back to you. So go ahead, Alden.
Yeah. So in my case, it's a no code system. So the customer signs up, uploads a document, and uses it very privately. And they upload their documents, 1,400 different formats, and sometimes they bring in some remote data as well. So, yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah. Is it just like uploading it through a web interface, or is there a specific tool that you're using?
Yeah.
Or did you custom program it?
Yeah. No, it's a platform. So no code platform, web interface, and for people who are technical enough, they can use the API as well in case they want to integrate it into a workflow.
We had recently had a case study on it. Indigo, do you mind just sharing that case study with Elizabeth Planet in the chat? That's a good way to see a non-technical person using it.
Sorry, which case study?
The Elizabeth Planet one we had.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah,
Lucinda,
so you were asking about how to do it. So these have not been commercialized yet. But I've worked on a couple of hackathons, and it's been with medical data. And so the data that we get is either as a PDF, and then it's got to be kind of taken apart, or as a data from a website that's updated, such as an FDA, 122 page equivalent of like how to do coding. When I'm saying coding, I'm not talking about computer coding in this case. I'm talking about the medical diagnostic codes, and that people who are, medical coding technicians are the ones that are saying that, oh, this particular patient visit is now coded as this particular cost reimbursement code, right? So I just want to make that delineation. But yeah, these are just really, kind of proof of concept things that could be used by somebody to do. But as Alden, like I've talked to Alden about custom GPT and things like that, and basically there's a huge amount of work. Like you can do one of these things as a hackathon and like show something that's kind of cool, and you say, yeah, I can see that. But if you want to make it work and be robust for real customers and real situations, then there is a lot of other stuff you got to do around it to suppress hallucinations and to get formats right. Because Alden said like 1,400 different types of formats of data, and each one of those has a loader, and then you got to figure out like, okay, what embedding am I going to use and what model is the best thing for this particular thing. So it's pretty complex to actually do one of these things. That's why I was so surprised, shocked with Jerry, like how the heck did they get that done so fast?
Paul, is there
Thanks so
anything-
much.
Did Jerry talk about like what resources they put on it?
They did, yeah. He said two engineers, a junior PM, and part of the CTO time for the first 2 months, and essentially double the team after that. So
Okay.
I suspect they had some AI. I think clearly this wasn't a team that was learning. They were actually learning and getting some good advice from someone.
Right.
So it's impressive how quickly they did
Would
it.
it be fair to say they spent like $1 million on it?
I don't think they spent that much. I bet $500,000.
Okay, $500,000.
The total, yeah. Go ahead, Alex. I want to come back at one more other question. Go ahead, Alex.
Actually, yeah, that's just another remark about Jerry car insurance. I looked at my notes from the conference, and I'm pretty certain that in terms of security and technology, they use just general RAG, retrieval augmented generation, to implement this chatbot. But they also use some proprietary technology. Unfortunately, I don't remember the vendor, but they use it to plug in like the real life data from their backend, from their database into this chat. So users can basically complete transaction during this chat. So it's not only chatting, but it's also provides like a instantaneous access to like they can purchase insurance pretty much as a result of this transaction. So, but I don't remember the vendor name yet.
Exactly. I mean, it was impressive. Not only that they were getting the general customer answer thing, was also hitting some of their core systems and bringing customer specific. One thing I want to just highlight and make sure I'm listening well enough, that in the Jerry's case study and Alden, your case study for your company, those are use cases where there's not a human in the loop. We've got humans, customers coming in, unassisted interaction with the AI tools, and in general having a good experience. And that's different than the knowledge use cases that you and Lucinda were talking for internal, where you do have a human in the loop and not a customer. Is that correct, Alden?
That is correct. Right now, what's happening is people are too scared of AI, so they are not throwing it out there in front of customers yet. So the first use case of deployment is employees and internal workflows. And then as they get more and more comfortable, they throw it out there in front of customers. Unless it's a small company and, then the risk profile is different.
So 90% of the companies are staying in the valley with employees. There's Alden and John spotted with it, Jerry over the hill with unassisted.
Yes.
5 customers using this stuff here and not worrying about.
I have no choice on that.
Well, great. Well, let's open up the open mics. Open mic is raise your hand if you will digitally and share questions, or if you've got comments about the Biden announcement today or things you want to share. Go ahead, Adam from Australia.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I just follow on with the discussion we were just having. Good morning, everyone from Melbourne, Australia, by the way. It's Adam or Mentis. Hey, Paul Schofield. I see you there with your Halloween background.
That is AI generated, by the way. Thank you very much.
Ooh.
German SE did that for me.
Go ahead, Adam.
Love it. Got to get the AI card. Over 20 years ago, we were actually using AI, and I put it in quotes. It was weighted algorithms, right? Bayesian networks in customer support. And we did that for AT&T Wireless, and we trained a system on 300,000 emails that had been categorized, and the system was able to start recognizing when someone emailed in and that their question was about how do I update my billing address, right? Those sort of things. So it's very reminiscent of that. It's just the scale and the capabilities of this technology are just, unlike anything we've ever had. And the fact that people can actually build these things, they don't need to pay an entire company to come in and spend 6 months training a model but so I started going down the road while we were talking here of what are those other things where we were already using AI? And for customer support, what were the AI use cases that already existed that we can just expand and extend out more rapidly and at scale at lower cost for more companies? And I haven't really answered that question yet, but I just wanted to share. And I think it's an interesting place to look in terms of where are we going to see the real traction and the real value out of these things, because it's things people are already comfortable with, like chatting with an AI bot online. It's just exactly like that use case there. You're not going to see people saying, let me talk to a real human, which happens all the time with the chatbots that are out there right now. So it's just very exciting times, and there's a lot of opportunity.
Go ahead, Angela, then we'll go to Lucinda.
I can get my video. Here we go. Hey, how you doing, everybody? Yeah, I actually did tune in today when they had the little press release from Biden, and I was kind of surprised actually about the extent of it. I don't know if anybody has taken a look at it, but it's very extensive, that fact sheet. I mean, it's like goes on and on and on. And what struck me was one of the first bullets was required that developers of the most powerful AI systems share their safety test results and other critical information with the US government. So I'm wondering how all of this is going to actually play out. But I mean, I think everybody should take a look at it because it is really broad and deep at the same time.
I'm sure a lot of lobbyists help craft that as well.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I dropped it in the chat if anybody wants to take a look at it.
That's great. Related to that, this weekend I was at a AI event at HBS, and Simon Greenwald, who's from the UK, he's been to a few of these things here. He was over here, and he and I had coffee, and it was shocking to me how much security and privacy is at the forefront of the European thinking. That's not even on the radar screen. It was really remarkable when we were talking about the top most pressing issues of companies in the UK versus what we're seeing here in the States.
Yeah. But it's interesting when you do look at the fact sheet, the privacy is the first issue that they're addressing.
Yeah, we have no qualms about that.
Exactly, right?
Well, what's interesting is the European framework, which as part of a group that was looking at that, they are categorizing basically, more dangerous to less dangerous AI applications, and they have very different rules. And so it's going to be interesting because I was on a Zoom call with the person's in Brussels actually driving a lot of the release, and the Europeans really want to lead the world in this regulatory framework. And there are parts that plug, but the big thing is the judgment of the nature of the system that's different. And they're releasing that framework shortly before the next EU election. So that would be, I think, over the next month, they're expecting the release.
So you had asked before about, Paul, about the other use cases. I think a couple of really interesting use cases are, number one, recommendation engines. I have a feeling that because of the subtlety of the LLMs, that recommendations engines that are based, that if you can get that structured data in, I think it's going to be like way better than collaborative filtering and all that. So that's one example.
Say more, Lucinda, on recommendations for other products to buy or things to do.
Yeah, products to buy or things to do, whatever, whenever you need a recommendation, right? Yeah. So whatever, it could be even like policy recommendations, just whatever. But basically, by getting the data on, let's say, a customer history, engagement, etc., do some third-party data like median zip code, median income of their zip code, and then you map it to the product things that you have and the attributes of the products that you have, right? So this is kind of stylish, this is kind of loungy, this type of clothing, and then you can actually take those two vectors and like make a connection and write something pretty compelling, I think. So I think recommendation engines are, will be greatly augmented by large language models. And then the other thing that I think is really interesting is that, one of the things that bedevils marketers is just having all this like duplicate information. You're not sure if it's the same person or not. And I have a feeling that large language models are going to be pretty good at taking, those duplicates and deambiguization of the IDs. I probably won't be perfect, but I think it'll be a lot better than what is currently done with fuzzy matching, because fuzzy matching is not nearly as like, I don't know. I think
so. Fingerprinting, because you can use a large model. So what we would call is like operating system or browser fingerprinting, where you've got thousands of things that are in your You get pretty, I can tell it's you within
Yeah.
seconds.
Yep.
You can tell who it is by a person by you're getting a large enough model. Good. Interesting.
And Lucinda, just on that, I bet it'll get there as well, is because we can talk and the customers know what they want, we can start grabbing that as well. Why did you buy that shirt? What did you like about that shirt so much? And start actually getting, actual recommendations based on customer specific stated
Yep.
needs.
Paul, I'll put a link in the chat, but there's I think it's called air.io or .ai, and it can actually have up to a 40-minute conversation with a customer over the phone. And it can ask them things like, I saw you on our website last night, can I ask why you didn't buy that product? Or, it can actually like mine customer information through a voice conversation using AI. It's wild.
Breathtaking. Go ahead, Paul Schofield.
I just had a question is how this is going to unwrap, because it reminds me of when we did the first anti-fraud. We went to a large investment company and they telling us they're losing $100 million a year. And we said, well, they said, can you make it secure? We said, no, we can't make e-commerce secure, but we can make it a lot more secure. It was stupid things like make sure it's the right time of day, make sure it's the right location, make sure it's not we were able to save them $60 million a year. So
Wow.
that was pretty easy. But I felt bad for the second company that came in because they had to go in and do. Well, actually, we did the second one, so we saved them another 10 million. And then after that, somebody's got to come in and say, we had it easy. So I wonder what are these are the founder effects in AI? Or is this going to be something that lasts for 6 months and then everybody's going to be arguing about 2% increments, or is it going to be this fundamental change? That's why I say it's nonlinear and chaotic, because it's changing across multiple dimensions at once, and it's difficult to understand for me.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Paul,
this is Tim. I think that's a good point. It's quite possible that a lot of this will end up benefiting customers more than vendors, which happens sometimes. It moves so fast that people will benefit. There will be productivity. The question is who collects. And people expect to collect a lot right now on the vendor side, and they may not collect as much as they expect. On the other side, though, there are so many low-hanging fruits. This could go on for a while, long while.
So I hear you. So it's not going to be that kind of a thing where, in that case, it went like $60 million a year, then another, so then 70 million, then 80 million, then 82, then 83, 84, 85, kind of asymptotic almost right now.
Yeah,
So right now, and I'm wondering if it's just going to have another leaps and bounds, or if it's going to be that kind of same geometric progression.
I think it's so much broader that it will take much longer even for the low-hanging fruit. And I think the rate of advancement is such that low-hanging fruit will reappear. For example, there are already several models, 1/10 or 100th of the size of the current models, claiming they're as effective. And I think eventually they will be. And then all of a sudden it'll be 100th of the price or less. And that will open up a whole bunch of new low-hanging fruit. So I think this one has a lot longer runway.
In multiple dimensions. I don't understand the dimensions yet.
Right.
That's what I'd like to do. Thank you.
Right.
but I also think, though, related to that, Paul, is on the new products and new services. Flawless AI, people haven't seen it, is one of my favorites, where they're going through and they're taking movies in English and dubbing them into 15 other languages that local natives like it, and the lips move, and it's creating tens and hundreds more of millions of dollars of revenue, because you can take a movie and cost effectively move it. What does that mean for insurance policies, being able to hyper customize it? What does it mean for other types of products and services you can upload or create around it? What other things that people want to share or have questions on? I've used DALL-E 3 times this week. Have people tried that, or any feedback on the DALL-E 3 competitor to Midjourney?
Have you had any luck supposedly it's really good at targeting specific areas to replace? Is it any good at that?
I think, where's Adam? Is Adam still on?
That's Donovan. Sorry.
Yeah, no, thanks,
Yeah,
Adam. I think
I'm still on here.
Yeah, Adam, you want
Yeah,
to?
no, Donovan, definitely. I've been playing with that, and it is amazing. I'll say it's amazing because it's the first AI art tool I've played with where it actually understands context and intent. Because you're using GPT-4 as a language model to interact in chat, and then the model is actually constructing the prompt based on what you want. So it's a whole new level of interaction. The picture behind me I made with DALL-E, and really the challenge there was I was trying to get that gate off center because I wanted it to be visible when it was my Zoom background, and almost all of the AR tools are trained to put the subject in the center of the image.
Yeah.
So it was actually a pretty difficult challenge, and what I ended up having to do was explain to it that I wanted 3 points of focus, a gate, a lake, and a tree. And then it started to make more space in the picture and put the gate off to the side. But absolutely, I'm not constructing the prompts. I'm chatting with GPT and telling it what I want to do. It's incredible.
So it was just through ChatGPT 4 and that's it. You didn't use a website or anything else. Just
That's correct. Yeah, just through the Plus subscription. One of the beta features currently is DALL-E 3.
Cool. Thanks.
Keep me honest here, Adam, as well. For DALL-E 2, which some people may have played with earlier, it's a different login. It was way inferior to Midjourney. Now to get this DALL-E 3, you have to get the paid version, which is GPT-4. Go in, select that you want DALL-E 3, and then start doing your natural language to get the logos. I mean, get the pictures.
Or go to Bing Chat.
Or Bing Chat, thank you. Or Bing
does
Chat.
have access to it as well at no charge.
But Adam, to your point about moving your gate over, you know that you can do all that in Midjourney, right?
Yes, I've never paid for a Midjourney subscription. For people who have it, that's great. Yeah, but it's kind of like, you know, there's people who are like in the Apple ecosystem, and so they do all their Apple stuff. I'm starting to feel a little of that vibe with like some of the different AI art tools or different chat products. Yeah.
Well, so people don't know, Rosemary, her graphic artist and her put together, I think, one of the best Midjourney presentations I've ever seen. And it's still, Rosemary remains out there. I forget your graphic artist's name. Has he explained with DALL-E 3 at all? Do you know? Or is he still in the Midjourney?
He's actually been going down the whole video piece. And so he was showing me a whole bunch of different videos that and animations and really exploiting that whole piece now. But just to go back to DALL-E 3 for a second. So, you know, we always just talk about photos, but in marketing, we do so many more things with graphics, right? And so I did a LinkedIn post showing an A/B test with DALL-E against Midjourney, doing other things like creating layouts for our website. And, you know, Midjourney still just blew it out of the park. So
Rosemary, similar to that, we're working on this buyer's guide, and we're working with a graphic artist to get everything. And she's like, boy, this is really good. I think we're going to need some icons for this. Let me go search for icon. And we've been talking about you. It's so hard to get in the workflow. We said, Samantha, have you asked Midjourney and it wasn't even on her radar screen. It was kind of like intellectually just another step over. And then we started doing it real time, and they're not, as you expected, not bad at all. Creating a little icons. So it's really stunning. It's stunning. And I think it's hard also to get the fingers and really move over the mental workflow change.
Hey, Rosemary, real quick. So I'm looking at your post, and I mean, the DALL-E 3 art concept, it's beautiful, three-dimensional, etc. But yeah, it kind of lacks that practical quality. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
That's my point. I mean, I'm in marketing, so we want to do all these different things, layouts for, you know, white papers, whatever. And so we can just keep coming back to Midjourney all the time. But it's not to say that DALL-E 3 and 4 and 5 won't get there.
Well, one of the things that Rosemary taught me was to ask Midjourney to be hyper realistic in doing something, and it's unbelievable photo quality. It's breathtaking.
Well,
yeah, I would agree that that Midjourney absolutely is still the best quality product out there.
And you know,
there's nothing like it. Yeah,
Midjourney
is amazing.
Yeah, it's as cheap as like $100 a year just to be able to play with it. So.
And if people haven't used it, or if they're using it and you're a little confused, you've got to figure out, ask someone to help you set up your own server, which sounds technical, but it's just it's almost unusable if you don't do that. And when you use it, it's a one-time setup.
By the way, did you hear that Midjourney is going to be making the app available through the browser more, so you don't have to have that Discord functionality? They just announced that pretty recently. It should be coming up quickly.
Yeah, they've just turned on the website for all users so that you can view your results, and it's lightning fast to sort of go through your history, and they're making that easier, but the generation is still through Discord at this point. But yeah, they're making so much money, and they have actually so much friction in terms of adoption, because people have to get onto Discord and figure out how to use it. When they can open this up and just let people do it through a website, man, they're going to be printing billions of dollars. Their whole team's like 10 people or something too. It's extraordinary.
Getting on there is the biggest challenge. Once you're on, it's a dream, but getting on there is a nightmare.
But look already to that point, Adam and Liz, 1.3 billion run rate already for OpenAI, and there was supposed to be 200 million this year, then $1 billion, $1.3 million. I think there's no reason that Midjourney can't get to $1 billion, and we may be a couple of years from now looking at 5 to 8, 10, $20 billion companies because they scale so fast, and globally, everybody's implementing this thing. You know, everybody in the whole entire globe knows what ChatGPT is, and Bing's pushing out, and Bard's pushing out through Google. So it's, I think John's still on here, talks about how we've never seen a scale rollout like this globally in any technology ever before. And it's actual global scale and accelerating. So it's really,
I thought it was interesting. Peter Diamandis, right? The guy that wrote Abundance, said that we're going to see the first $1 billion company with just like 3 people, you know, it's crazy.
I saw an estimate last year, we'll wrap up a few minutes of this, where someone was estimating that Microsoft will be worth 10 trillion in 10 years. And I thought that was crazy last year. But I think if you look at what's going on in the cloud wars and how much momentum they have with OpenAI and Azure, you know, maybe 5 trillion at least, but boy, I mean, it's hard not to see how these 3 major players, Amazon, Apple, and Google, just continue to just scale and grow in this booming market. All right, well, let's last call. We'll end early. Try to.
So I just posted, we're launching this tonight. And so this is a staging server link, but I created an AI readiness checklist. So it should take you about 10 minutes to get through it. So please feel free to take a look, and I'll put my email address in the chat in case anybody has any comments. So.
And Rosemary, before we leave, you were in Japan. Can you share what's ChatGPT and Internet AI in Japan like? Do you have a sense for, is it all the rage over there? Or they think
no, I didn't have anybody to talk to about AI. And my husband kept saying, be in the moment. And I just was very hard to do that. So internet was fast. I had the fastest internet I've ever had in some locations, ever.
Well, thanks on that. Everyone have a great evening. And in Australia, good day. Thanks, everyone.